and welcome to my Crafty Corner. Today we're going to make a Dear Me journal. Maybe some of you who follow me over on my main channel saw me upload a Dear Me video yesterday, and that is a letter to my 16-year-old self. Dear Me is just a campaign that is geared for the International Day of Women, and you know, anybody can do it. And I thought it might be fun to go ahead and, since this is the week that International Day of Women took place, that we would go ahead and do a journal and call it a Dear Me journal. And this is anything, you can decorate it any way you like, but it all starts with a composition notebook and a few pieces of paper and a few tools. So let's go see how we make this. Need is a composition notebook, and these are easy to find. They have them at any office supply, big box store, even at the dollar store you can find these, and they're really inexpensive. Of course, at the dollar store they're $1. Today we're going to make a super simple one, and we're only going to decorate the outside. The paper that I have chosen for today is from the new Graphic 45 Home Sweet Home collection. I have one 12 by 12 sheet of Granny's quilt, and I have a piece of another sheet that is the opposite side of Granny's quilt that I have cut for the binding. And then I have this piece, which is one of the cut-aparts that came in the collection. And we're going to use this as the main decoration for the front of our journal. The tools that you're going to need, you're going to need your paper trimmer, a pair of scissors, a ruler, and I am using my corner chomper. This is optional. If you don't have one, you can just use an X-Acto knife. And what it is to do is to trim out the corners on the rounded corners on the composition notebook. The corner chomper does an excellent job of doing that. You're also going to need some double stick tape. I just have 2 rolls here of 1/2 inch double stick tape. This is also known as score tape or soup wang tape. This is my preferred tape to do projects like this because it's super heavy duty, and once you tape this down, ain't nothing coming back up. Okay, so what you're going to want to do to prepare is you're going to want to tape off your journal. And in order to cover the cover, you're going to need to tape it all around all the edges with the double stick tape. And then I have 1 down the spine and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the middle of all of the edges. You're going to want to do that on the front and on the back. Just get it as covered as you possibly can. I've already cut this, and I'll put the measurements for you. It's super simple. You are going to want to measure your particular notebook, okay? These composition notebooks range anywhere from 9 3/4 to, or just under 9 1/2, like 9 7/8 to 9 3/4. This one is just around 9 1/2 inches. And you're going to want to measure it just to be sure. You can always trim it with an X-Acto knife. It's not a big deal. So my spine piece, which is going to be wrapped around, it's going to start here, and it's going to wrap around the back like this after we get the main cover put on. This is 9 1/2 or so. It's just over 9 1/2 inches this way by 5. And you can adjust this. If you want to do a punched edge here, you're going to want to accommodate for that. If your punch is wide or thin, you're going to want to leave enough so that it's going to have some overlap so that everything is going to be covered and you're not going to see any of this composition notebook underneath. So I'm going to set that aside. I've developed my composition journals to where I can use 1 sheet of paper for the front and the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this down. I'm going to cut it to just 1 tick beyond 9 1/2. Trim that off. Save that for another project. And then cut this in half at 6 inches. So you're going to have 2 6-inch pieces. All right. Now we have our paper cut. And you're just going to dry fit it, making sure that you have everything where it's supposed to be. Okay? Now you're going to be able to tell if you're going to have a little overhang on one end or the other, and that's okay. Just try and make it as flush as you can on at least 2 sides. If you've got a little overlap, we can trim that off with a X-Acto knife, and that's going to be just fine. So now all you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take all of your tape off and expose the sticky side. Okay, so I've taken all of the double stick tape top part. I've taken the protective sheet off of the top of the tape. And then what we're going to do, because this is what I like to do, is if you take a look at this and you see where your tape, ooh, don't do that. You're going to line it up as close as you can, and then you're going to see where that tape is. What I like to do is I like to take a piece of tape and I like to line it up on the edge that's going to be on the very inside of the book. So just adhere that down, pull up the tape, and then what I like to do is you're going to want to be super careful here, because remember, once this is stuck, it's stuck. So I like to take my finger and my forefinger and my thumb. Do you see how I have it on the corner here? And I like to just use that kind of as a stopgap. And then you can kind of make sure that your paper is lined up as the best that you can get it all the way down, and then you can press it on there. Just like that. And then you can see, you probably can't see very well, but you have there's a little bit of an extra piece here that's overhanging. We'll take care of that with an X-Acto knife in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the back piece on, and I'll be right back. Okay, I got my back cover put on, and I just wanted to show you, if you end up with a little bit of overhang, just take your X-Acto knife. Make sure it has a fresh blade in it, because sometimes these can tend to be a little difficult if they're not fresh. And just very carefully slice that right off of there. The spine piece, I like to go ahead and tape off the paper. And I will say that this is for my personal use, but you'll notice that this paper is not double-sided like the piece that I just used, because I didn't want to cut up a piece just for my spine. So I put this on my printer scanner and I scanned the paper so that I could have a piece for my spine, and I didn't have to waste a piece of the good paper. This is 110-pound cardstock that I printed on through my printer, and it worked just fine. Okay, now you're going to want to, again, you're going to want to expose all the tape, but I will say only do one side at a time, all right? So we've got this. I'm going to take all the tape off of this spine piece so that we can go ahead and lay it on there. You want to be extra careful when you're doing the spine, because it can get squirrely on you and it can go very crooked very quickly, and it can be very frustrating. So you just need to go very slowly, and in the end everything is going to work out fine. But make sure you go slow. Okay, line it up. And you might have a little overhang on one side or another. Okay, press it down. Then expose the tape that you have on the other side. So this is what I like to do, is I like to roll like that. And then if you have a little extra here on the one end, you're just going to take your X-Acto knife and trim that away. And there you have a very simple covered composition notebook that you can use for journaling or list making or anything. I'm going to go ahead and use my corner chomper on here. I'm using the 1/2 inch rounded side. And this is just going to round all those corners beautifully. There are a lot of different things you can do with this. Don't limit yourself. Make this your own and love it, because if you're going to be using it, you should love it. Just pop that on there just like that. And I love this. It says, "Where thou art, that is home." Emily Dickinson. And I just think that is positively beautiful. You can make this as elaborate or as simple as you like. But today I'm going to keep this simple. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And there you have it. That is how you make a simple, covered, altered composition notebook that you can use for anything that you like. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make this covered Dear Me